Princess Merida was bored. Bored. All she ever did was sit around the castle, practicing her archery or reading boring books. She longed for adventure, for excitement, for anything to happen. One day, as Merida was wandering the castle grounds, she stumbled upon an old, worn map hidden in the library. The map depicted a mysterious enchanted forest filled with all sorts of wondrous and terrifying creatures.
"This is it,"
Merida exclaimed.
"my chance for adventure."
Without hesitation, Merida gathered her bow and quiver of arrows, packed some supplies, and headed out into the unknown. The enchanted forest loomed before her, a massive tangle of gnarled trees and twisted vines. Merida took a deep breath and plunged into the verdant depths. Almost immediately, strange things began to happen. The trees seemed to whisper to each other as Merida passed, and she swore she saw a flash of movement in the corner of her eye. Suddenly, a rustling in the bushes caused Merida to jump and reach for an arrow. Out bounded the most peculiar creature Merida had ever seen. It was small, furry, and had a long snout and bushy tail.
"What in the world are you?"
Merida exclaimed. The creature gave a high-pitched yip and scurried away into the undergrowth. Merida cautiously followed, her footsteps muffled by the soft moss underfoot. The further she went, the more bizarre the forest became. Giant mushrooms the size of boulders sprouted from the ground, and Merida had to duck to avoid low-hanging branches covered in glowing, iridescent leaves. After what felt like hours of wandering, Merida came across a clearing. In the center stood a magnificent, shimmering castle, its towers and turrets reaching high into the sky.
"Whoa."
Merida breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Cautiously, she approached the castle gates. They swung open with a creaky groan, and Merida stepped inside the courtyard. The sound of her footsteps echoed against the towering walls, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Suddenly, a loud roar rent the air, causing Merida to jump and spin around. There, lumbering towards her, was the largest bear Merida had ever seen. Its fur was matted, and its yellow eyes gleamed with menace. Merida's heart pounded as she quickly nocked an arrow and took aim. But before she could let the arrow fly, a small furry shape darted in front of her, yipping and growling at the bear. It was the same creature Merida had seen earlier in the forest. The bear paused, seemingly confused, and Merida used the opportunity to grab the creature and make a run for it. They dashed through the castle courtyard and into a maze of hallways, the bear's thunderous footsteps echoing behind them. Merida's lungs burned as she ran, clutching the squirming creature to her chest.
"Who are you?"
she panted.
"And why are you helping me?"
The creature let out a series of barks and yips, but Merida couldn't understand a word. Finally, they reached a set of ornate double doors and burst through them, slamming them shut just as the bear reached the threshold. Merida collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. The creature wriggled out of her grasp and scurried around the room, sniffing and investigating everything in sight. Merida took a moment to look around, and her jaw dropped. The room was absolutely stunning, with high ceilings, glittering chandeliers, and intricate tapestries adorning the walls. In the center stood a large, ornate throne, and Merida suddenly had a sinking feeling that she was in big trouble.
"Who dares to trespass in my castle?"
boomed a deep, rumbling voice. Merida spun around to see a massive figure emerge from the shadows. It was a towering, furry creature with huge claws and teeth that could crush her in an instant. Merida's heart raced as she realized that this must be the castle's owner, and she had just barged in uninvited.
I'm sorry.
Merida stammered, her voice trembling.
I didn't mean to intrude, I was just...
"Silence!"
The creature roared, its voice echoing off the walls.
"You have trespassed on my domain, and for that there will be consequences."
Merida braced herself for the creature to attack, but to her surprise, it suddenly let out a great, booming laugh.
"Oh, but you have spirit, young one, and you've managed to evade my loyal companion, Angus. Not many can claim that feat.
Merida blinked in confusion as the creature lumbered towards her, its massive paws thudding against the marble floor.
Angus?
She repeated, glancing at the small, furry creature that was now sniffing at her feet.
Yes, my faithful friend and companion.
The creature rumbled, lowering its head to regard Merida with its piercing amber eyes.
I am the Great Bear, guardian of this enchanted forest. And you, brave human, have earned my respect.
So you're not going to eat me?
Eat you? Goodness, no. In fact, I admire your courage and sense of adventure. Tell me, young one, what brings you to my forest?
Merida straightened her shoulders, her confidence slowly returning.
Well, I am Princess Merida, and I came here in search of adventure and excitement. I was so bored back at the castle, and I just had to get out and explore.
The Great Bear nodded sagely.
Yes. The thirst for adventure. I can certainly relate to that. Tell you what, Princess Merida. Why don't you stay a while and let me show you the wonders of my enchanted forest? There's so much to discover, if you have the courage to seek it out.
Merida's eyes lit up with excitement.
Really? You mean it?
Of course.
The Great Bear rumbled.
But be warned. The enchanted forest is full of mysterious and dangerous creatures. You must be on your guard at all times.
Merida grinned, her hand instinctively reaching for her bow.
Don't worry, I'm always ready for a challenge.
And so began Merida's grand adventure in the Enchanted Forest. With the Great Bear and his loyal companion Angus as her guides, she explored hidden glades, discovered ancient ruins, and even encountered a mischievous band of fairies who led her on a wild chase through the treetops. Along the way, Merida learned valuable lessons about bravery, friendship, and the importance of protecting the delicate balance of the natural world. She faced her fears, overcame obstacles, and even managed to tame the mighty Angus, who became her trusted steed. When it was finally time for Merida to return to her castle, she did so with a heart filled with wonder and a head full of unforgettable memories. The Enchanted Forest had become her second home, and she knew that she would always be welcome there as long as she remained true to herself and her adventurous spirit. And from that day on, Princess Merida's days were never again filled with boredom. She had discovered the secrets of the Enchanted Forest, and she was determined to share them with the world, one thrilling tale at a time.